get started. Thanks for your patience while we waited for a few more people to call in. I'm Carrie Scomp. I'm VP of Operations and IT for the Schmidt family of companies, so welcome. We are covering MoxiPresent 201. So if you've not sat through the 101 class, that's okay. We're going to kind of recap what we discussed in 101 and then dive a little bit farther into the customization that we have available to us from MoxiPresent. So MoxiPresent is our presentation tool for CMAs, for listings, and then we have buyer tours along with complete customization for newsletters and other marketing pieces. So it is a full encompassing tool that takes not only branding for yourselves as an agent, but also all the data from the MLS. So it's super user friendly in order to create these presentations without having to completely reinvent the wheel. So what you're seeing here is our account page in Moxie. So if you're unaware on how to get to that particular page, head to where we always head first, right? Schmidt Resources. Find the region at the top that you sit and reside and work in, and then scroll until you find your Moxie Works square. And then once you click on that, that very first option is the Moxie login. So you can log directly into my.schmidtresources.com. And then what we're going to be talking today is Present, which is right there at the top. So you have a menu across the top. You have the menu across the left-hand side, which will look differently than mine, depending on your security levels. And then you also have the opportunity to get to certain tools in the upper right corner. You can always get back to my account from right here. And again, you'll have a few less options. This is a company account, so there's more options than what you'll see. So you're not missing anything. We just have some additional ones here. So before we jump into Present, I did want to point out the account because this is where all of the information will come as far as your agent contact information, your headshot, your bio. All of that information does come over from this account. So if you need to update any of this information, you just click the pencil right here. And you can see it's loading, and then you have 3 tabs across the top here. We have personal info, so obviously your name should be correct. And then that information there, you can fill in as much as you want. You can fill in languages if you have them. If you want to put in your license number, you can. And then anytime you make changes, you can click Save. If you click on the Contact Info tab, you have your primary email, which is your login. You have your display email, which is what will show up on our websites. It'll show up on any campaigns that you're using Engage for, and it'll show up on the MoxiPresent presentations that I'll show you in a little bit. Your phone numbers can be updated here, direct or mobile. And again, click Save if you make changes. And then your web info. This is where you want to make sure that your bio is up to date. Now, some of you have been probably contacted by your ASCs recently to get your updated bio in Moxie because it was their initiative to help our agents get this information up to date. If you're an agent that's been in the business for a while, I would just highly encourage you to take a look. So when we transferred into Moxie early last year, we did take the data that we had existing and put it into Moxie for any of the companies that we were merged with prior to our rollout. So if you're from Premier, we started with from scratch for you guys. But you do want to come in here and just make sure that that information is up to date. If you need to update it at all, it operates like a Google Doc or Microsoft Word. It is text, so you just text in the box. You can bold, italicize, or underline. You can also link through here. So if you wanted to link to a charity that you participate in or something as part of your bio, you can do that by clicking the link there. If you scroll further, you'll see your website here. And then this is where you can add all of your social media links in, your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, and if you have a blog outside of the system. So all of this data can be filled in. And again, as much as you put in is what will show up on the end product when you're utilizing MoxiPresent and Moxie Engage, and also on your website. So again, any changes you make, click Save. And you see that blue bar at the top, which is your progress bar, but it always will give you this right here. It says, yep, you've updated it, you're good to go. If you have a new headshot or you want to update your headshot, you do that right from here. You click on the little camera, upload new, you click on file, you'll find the file where you have it saved on your desktop, hit open, and then you'll be able to hit upload. The good part about this is it tells you right here, it can only be 2.5 megabytes, and it gives a suggested minimum size for both landscape and for portrait. So if you're questioning what your headshot should look like, check these parameters out. If you need help resizing it, just reach out to the marketing group via Schmidt Resources and they'll be able to help you resize that. So again, the reason why this is important is because it does autofill into your presentation on one of the slides if you choose that slide. So we want to make sure that it's up to date and you're looking good there. I did forget a few housekeeping things before I jumped right in. So if you do have questions, feel free to unmute. We have a smaller group today, so there's not as many of us on here. So feel free to unmute to ask questions or go ahead and type them in the chat box and I'll make sure I keep an eye on that. So for now, we're going to launch into Present. So you're going to click right up here on the Present menu item. And we're going to let that load. Now you probably remember in 101 we kind of went over that account profile review as well. We showed you the presentation library that we have available. We walked through a listing presentation and we discussed how to send that presentation, whether you're doing it digitally or if you want to do it via paper in the PDF print version. And then we kind of went through the whole presentation page by page. So we're going to recap some of those and then we're going to further dig in. Since this is our 201 session, we're going to further dig into the customization options that you do have in the Present tools. So what you're looking at here is my dashboard. These are all either test or training CMAs that I've done in the past, but you can see anything that anytime you've started a presentation, whether it is a CMA or a buyer or whatever it is, it's always going to go to your dashboard. So you can always get back to it to edit it, to resend it to somebody else, or however you want to utilize that. You do have a few options as you build out your Present and start utilizing this tool. You can change how you filter these. So if you want to go right here, you can filter by recently updated, which is the default because that does make sense. You can do by date created, or you can do by title, and that will alphabetize it by the title that you've given that particular presentation, A through Z. You also have the opportunity to archive these. So if you have used it for tests and you're like, I just don't want to see that on my dashboard, it's just taking up space. When you click on the three little dots, you can archive that. It doesn't get rid of it. You can always get back to it if you want to do further testing without launching a new presentation. If you don't ever think you'll get back to it again, you don't need it, you can delete it so it's completely gone. If you do archive it, it's going to show up here in archived. So if you're looking for something and you just swear that you did not delete it, head over to the archive tab. It very well may be in there. You also have the opportunity to search presentations. So the filters in the search may not make much sense if you're new into the product and you only have like one page of presentations. But you can imagine as you start building these out, you could have 10, 20, 30, 50 presentations. That's where the filters and the search presentation really come into play. So you can search by title or by address. So in this part, we're going to do Park Street. And then that brings up any of the presentations that has Park Street as part of it. So it's searching your address if it's a CMA, or it's searching for the title that you've given it. So a lot of good options in order to find the ones that you need to find. Broker presentations are not quite built out yet. There's a few test templates in here for our newsletters, so those are available. We have a relocation one here from Florida, and then this one we're trying to get rid of. It was just an accidentally put in there. But if you're looking for those newsletter templates, those are found in the brokerage presentations. And then we have our seasonal newsletter template and our agent focused newsletter template. And if you want to use those, you just click add to my presentations and you'll have that template available to update. So back to my presentations. Let's walk through creating a new one. So you can click on Create New in the upper right corner. These are your four options. You have buyer, seller, buyer tour, and non-listing. If you're joining us from our C21 brand, I am in an account that is Coldwell Banker branded, but this will look the exact same, only black and gold for the Coldwell Banker or for the Century 21 brand. So keep in mind, same options, just branded differently. The question from Michelle was, is it good to name them as the customer name or property? So great question, Michelle. This search functionality will search both the address that you've used for the presentation and the title. So you can still name it the title, because that's what's going to show up on the front presentation tab. It'll say prepared for. That's where this will show up. So you do probably want to put the client name there, but it'll also search the address that you've pulled in. So great question. And I'll show you where it's going to ask for that here in just a second. So in order to create new, you click the create new button, and then you decide what you're doing. Are you doing this for a buyer? Are you doing this for a seller? Is it a buyer tour? Maybe you're going out at a bunch of showings and you really want to get this to them ahead of time so that they know what they're going to experience. Or do you want to make a newsletter? Or do you want to make a particular marketing piece for a single property? If you really want to get some more data out there, maybe it's a unique property. Maybe you have some videos. You can embed those videos into the non-listing option. It can also be a good feature if you're going to a listing opportunity and you've already sent them the CMA and they want to see more about how you're going to market the property. You could absolutely come in here and do like a newsletter style presentation for just their listing, so that you could show what you can send out to potential buyers to share more about their property. So lots of options. We are going to run through the traditional CMA right here, and we're going to click the radio button here, and we're going to click continue. From here, we now have a brand new option with Coldwell Banker templates. We don't have that option just yet with C21, but that will be coming down eventually as Moxie and Realogy really start working together in the near future here. But if you are a part of the C21, you do have the broker template. So you have two different options. So in broker template, and again, that test should not be there, so ignore that for now. We'll get that removed. The default seller is 12 pages long. And if you click on the pages, it lists them for you. So as we build these out as a brokerage, we'll be having more options for you, and that's when it'll be important that you can see the pages right then and there. Of course, you can always, at the customization portion of this, as we get through the steps, you can always remove any of those pages if you choose to. And of course, we have lots of options to add some more if you choose to do that instead. We're going to pick the default seller, and we're going to click continue. This is where this name comes into play. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith here on this test one that I did the other day is what you're going to type in here. You do have 85 characters. So you can put in whatever you want. Maybe it's an estate. So maybe you'd want to put in, the estate of Jane Doe or whatever it might be. You have that option. If you're a member of more than one MLS, you will have the option of toggling back and forth on where you want your listing source to come from. I only have one on mine, so I only have one option. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that as the default. But do know if you're a member of more than one MLS, you'll want to pick the one which is going to cover the property that you're preparing this for. And then I'm going to click create. We're going to give that a chance to sit and spin. And then this is our wizard that will come up, and you can see there are 5 steps to creating a CMA in MoxiPresent: the subject property, search, listings, the estimate, and pages. And we're going to deep dive on pages today and the customization that's allowed there. But first, we're going to walk through our first 5 steps just to refresh us from our last meeting. So I am going to quickly, and I apologize I didn't have this up prior, I'm going to quickly grab an MLS number so that you can see how the data comes over automatically from the MLS. So if you are doing a CMA on a property that was ever listed in your MLS for the past 3 years, then you will have the opportunity to pull that data over from your MLS so that you can not have to data entry all of the information. So just grabbing an MLS number here. There we go. So you can do the MLS number right from here. And in this particular case, because I am attached to the Traverse City MLS, we're going to do a Traverse City listing. Type in the MLS number, click copy. And this is going to pull over the photo. It's going to pull over the location information, the community information, all the information about the property. You can add to this, you can subtract from this, you can update this information however you want to see it reflected in your CMA. The remarks will be the remarks that were in the MLS. So if this was another agent's listing prior and you're going in for a listing presentation, you may want to change these, but they do pull over from the MLS. This information will also pull over as well, so you can delete this if you choose that you don't want it in your presentation. You also do not have to copy over from the MLS. If you're going up for a listing that was never in the MLS, you can start from scratch and put in all that information on the screen. You can replace the photo if you choose to. You can either choose a different photo that came over from the MLS, or you can browse for a photo on your computer on your system if you've taken photos that you would like to use instead. So you do have that option as well. Now you can click on any one of these menu options here to get through this presentation, or if you go all the way to the bottom, you can click Continue. So this is going to search for the listings that you want to use as the comparables. It is going to search around where that particular listing is. You can put in parameters if you want to. You can also choose to manipulate the map. So no comparables will show up in this list unless they're showing up on your map. So I am going to delete everything except for that zip code, hit search, and you can see how that gave us a lot, well not a lot, but that gave us more options here. So by putting in the zip code, it gave us a boundary. So only comparables that are in that boundary, which is being mapped from that zip code, will show up in our list here. You can choose to redraw this if you want by clicking draw and quick draw, and you can draw a portion of the map with a boundary. And you can see every time we manipulate the map, it's changing the information that's showing up in our search parameters, because again, it's changing everything that's showing up by that boundary. You have the opportunity to do that boundary via a radius and schools as well. So you have a couple different options there for you. You can see here that this is pulling up our comparables, sold, pending, and active. We have a canceled there as well. We are working continuously with our MLSs to remap certain statuses that are a little new. So if it's a coming soon status, if it's active contingent versus active pending, those kind of things are unique to every MLS. So if you're not seeing the data in here that you think that you can, or that you think should be populating on that list, then just reach out to us. It's probably just a mapping issue that we have to work with the Moxie team on to make sure that we have that mapped correctly. George had a question about, can you use multiple zip codes? That's when you would want to do that draw. So if you know the area on the map that you want, you would draw that area. You can only put one zip code in this box here, but you can sure manipulate that map however you want to. So good question. So from here, if you want to use these as your comps, if you want to pick and choose, you have that option. So you can include all, or as you hover over each one, you can see this little plus sign shows up. So if you want to include that one, you just click plus, it turns to a green check mark, and you can see my listings now went to 1 because I have chosen this listing to be inputted into my final CMA product. So I'm going to go through and just check these. I'm not going to check the canceled. We want that active. We're going to pick up, well, not the subject property, sold, more active. And you can see that number went to 9. So again, you can click on estimate from here if you want to get to the next step, or you can click continue. You do have the filter options of price, bed, bass, and if you click on filters, you can change these filters. The system automatically will pick up what it feels is the right filter from your subject property, but you can absolutely manipulate these any way you want. You can do waterfront, square footage, year built. You can choose to include or exclude these options. If it's blue, it's included. If it's white, it's not included in the search feature. So you just click on it, it turns blue, and now your search parameters will be changed to include condos as well as single family. Anytime you make changes on this screen in your filters tab, you do want to click apply, just so that the system will redo its search, refresh it. I didn't change filters, so it didn't change any of my search results. So again, we are on search. You can click on listings here, or if you scroll down, you can click continue. From here, this is going to allow you to redo your display order if you want to. So if you click the pencil here, you can choose, you're like, maybe I want to talk about solds first. That's really the story on this property. You can move those solds to the top so that they will show up first. Or maybe you want that person to know what competition is out there on the market. You can make sure actives are first. So you have that opportunity, and then you click save. And again, that's from the pencil right here. Within that display order, you have the option of choosing whether you want it priced high to low, low to high, days on market, however you want to see these show up here. You can change that option by there. You can see here, because we left actives at the top, it's going to, on our listing summary, show actives, then solds, then pendings. If you have a custom listing, maybe it was a created sale that was never put in the MLS, but you know it's a good comparable for your property, you can add a custom listing by clicking Add Custom Listing. It's going to pull up a screen very similar to when you pulled in your subject property, so you can add all of this information here, and then you would click Continue. I'm going to go back to listings because I don't have one to add, but I did want to point that out. If at this point you still want to go back and maybe look at your listings, you can choose to view listings on map as well. If you're at this point, you're like, gosh, I really don't want that one, I decided it's not a good comparable, you can click the X button and it'll remove it from your presentation. You also have the opportunity to add an adjustment. So maybe this particular home had a unique huge pole barn, so you know that added to the sale price. Your property doesn't have it, so it's not comparable. You can add adjustments. You can add to the good or to the negative. So if this particular house needs a complete bathroom remodel and yours has a brand new one, you could take away money from that comparable to really tell that story and make it accurate for the seller. You can do multiple as well. So once you've put in, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, you click save and add another, and then you can go ahead and add in another one. Don't go by my numbers. Those are completely arbitrary numbers I just pulled out of the air. If you're done and you don't need to add anymore, you click save. So you can see right here under the adjustments is where that shows up. You can always go back through and edit it. You can always go back through and delete it. Again, you can go to the top and click on estimate, or you can scroll down to the bottom and click continue. This is our estimate sheet. So this is what's taking all of the comparables that you just checked and giving an estimated pricing. But you have some options here. You can create a range if you'd rather have that as part of your story when you're going to your listing presentation, or you can leave it at the estimated market value that's being created from the comparables that you chose. You can also put remarks in here as well. So if you click create range, you can do it by a, oops, sorry about that. You can do it by a percentage and click calculate. So 5% under, 5% over. So you have that opportunity and the system will calculate it for you. If you click apply, you can see it change the view right here to this. You can also put in remarks about the pricing. Need for speed of sale will change what the recommended price is, or whatever it might be. And again, that will show up in your final presentation if you choose the estimate slide to be included. If you don't want to talk price at all with your clients on this, we have that opportunity in MoxiPresent as well. But we're going to keep going through this as a full, robust system. We also have the estimated net proceeds option right here. Now, I've gotten mixed reviews on this, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys to try it out and see if you like it or not. But we do know with some of our mortgage partners, some of our title partners, and then products that are available to us. Sorry about that. My account tech just timed out on me. So it may or may not be useful to you in your business, but I do highly recommend at least checking it out because it is an option for you, and it is a slide you can include in the presentation if you choose to. So you can see it'll walk you through the estimated price, what your mortgage payoffs might be, the listing office fee, all of the fees that are included in selling real estate. That's not news to you guys. You know there's fees. And then you can really talk about that. Well, is there an HOA fee? Are there assessments? Custom costs even as well. And you can add multiple custom costs. So once that's filled out, again, you have the opportunity to click Pages, or you can click Continue. So this brings us to our presentation. And because we did utilize the template, all of the pages that we showed on that front page are here. So these came in from the template that we chose. Now we have a lot of opportunity here to pull in other pages and to also customize our own page. And we can do that right here from Add Page. So you can create new, and we will do that in a moment. But first I want to show you the library. So you click Add from Library. From here we have even further opportunities. So your report pages are the pages that are already going to be in there because that's our standard template. We have our pages from CBX. So CBX buyer profile merged with MoxiPresent earlier this year. So if you want to talk about the buyer profile intelligence and show that heat map, you click on Add, and it's going to add right over to your presentation. You can go back and check immediately, or if you want to continue to add more pages, more slides to this, you can just stay right in this library. From here you can see you have broker pages and Coldwell Banker pages. Broker pages are going to be those pages from our blue books and our black books, and for our managers that do recruiting, we have our Join the Blue Recruit book in here as well. So you have the opportunity to insert as many or as few of these pages as you want. So this is not a global luxury listing. It was right around 300,000, so we know it's not going to have data from our black book, but maybe we want to pull in some information from our blue book. So you click on the folder, and then you have these options. If you want to see what these look like, you click the three dots, click Print Portrait. This is also where you can download it as a PDF. So maybe you don't want to do a whole CMA, but you want a flyer for an event you're holding, or maybe you're running to an open house. Whatever it might be, this is where you can download it as a PDF. So not only can you view it to see if you want to pull it into your presentation, depending on how your browser is, and I'm in Google Chrome on a Mac, so it's going to look a little different for you. You can click Download right here, and then it'll download it as a PDF. So then you can print it if you choose to, you can attach it to an email if you choose to, or you can use it outside the Moxie system. Michelle, let's offline that. I did not realize they weren't in there. So absolutely, Michelle, we'll get those in there. If you choose, oh, I like that slide a lot, I really want to use it, you can click Add. This might be a good one where buyers search. Let's look at that real quick. So this tells a story of where buyers are going to search. Well, yep, they search online first, and let me tell you what my brand does to market your property online. That can be a really good story. So if you want to pull that into the presentation, again, all you do is click Add. If at any given time you click a wrong one and you don't want to add it, simply click Remove. It'll come out of your presentation. But not only do we have those blue books and black book pages from our Schmidt brand, we have pages from the Coldwell Banker brand. And again, for our C21 family, we do expect content to come directly from them as we work with Realogy to launch Moxie across the Realogy brands. We're just not quite there yet today. So if you are pulling this into your digital presentation for your CMA, you do want to make sure that you're choosing horizontal, because the entire presentation, whether it's digital or if it's in print, is going to be a horizontal presentation. If you're looking for something more along the lines of a one-page flyer or a PDF that you want to print to insert into maybe a paper presentation, you would want to use the vertical. Don't let the terminology CBA confuse you. That's just Coldwell Banker affiliates, which is what we are as the Schmidt family of companies. We're an affiliate, whether it's Coldwell Banker or C21. We're not company owned by Realogy, we're an affiliate. So that's what the CBA is speaking to. But you can see we have seller pages, we have great buyer pages, we have global luxury pages, and again for the managers, there's recruiting pages. We all know that content is the hardest part of marketing, right? What do I use for a blog? What do I use for an e-blast? What do I use for this? This content is here and available to you, created by either the Schmidt marketing group or by the brand. So lots of great content here. So if we go into, because we're in a CMA, right? So it's a seller presentation. If we click on the horizontal, you can see you have all of these options here. Again, if you want to see what one of them looks like, click the three little dots, print portrait. It's going to render that PDF for you. Some go faster than others. And then this was a really bad one that I picked because there's nothing, it's more like a cover page. But again, that's why you want to view them before you pull them in. But if it's one that you think is right, pricing right, that's an important slide, right? A big part of listing presentations can be so that they understand that you know how to price these right. View it, what it looks like. If you like it and you want to use it, click add. So now that we've added these in here, we can go back to pages. And they are going to be putting them right at the top of this list. So prior, our first slide from our template that we chose on the front end was our property summary. So we added these pages and they went to the top of our list, but that's not the order that we want them in. So what we want to do now is just click on it and drop and drag to where you want it in your presentation. So you can drop and drag these anywhere you want. It does, you can see the spin does take just a second. So if we drop and drag these down, our property summary is number 1 again after our cover page. The cover page will stay there unless you move it. And so you have that opportunity to drop and drag. If at the end of the day you're like, man, I just don't like that slide, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, you can remove it by clicking the X right here. If you click the three little dots where it says more, you also have the opportunity to remove it, but you can view what that looks like as a PDF as well. So maybe you've gone through the whole presentation, but their timeline changed, so you're really just going to have a quick conversation on the front end. Maybe you want to send them this PDF of just that one slide, or of course you can download it and print it from here as well, just like you could from the other view. If you really like this order, you really like all of these slides, this is the data you want to use in every single presentation that you use for CMA, you can create your own template. So if you go to Save as Template, it gives you the opportunity to title it, if it is a seller, and then you can click Save. And that's just giving me an error because I've already used that name once. There we go. And then click Save. So you never have to do that work again. You're not having to pull in those slides. You're not having to reorder them. As soon as you launch your own template on the front end, it's going to be in that exact same order. So it's a really good option to save you work at a later date once you have it set up the way you want. Now, even if you're doing your own template and you're using your template, you still have the opportunity to customize. You're still able to go in there and pull in different slides. So maybe your template is really for non-global luxury, but maybe you're going up for a global luxury listing. You can still use that template, but then pull over the global luxury data that you see fit to use in your presentation. So lots of customization every step of the way. So now that we've gone through these steps, we want to view it, right? We want to see what it looks like. So we're going to go to Web View, and then we also have the opportunity to do Print View. So at any given time, you always have those two options. So if we click View up here, again, both options, Web or Print or Portrait. If you go to Web, it's going to actually launch that presentation. There is always a load here. The reason why it's always loading is because it's always up-to-date content directly from your MLS. So if you did a presentation yesterday and a property had a price change or went under contract overnight, the next time you launch into your presentation, it's going to be updated information, which is really great because you're not having to go back and pull in new slides and pull in new comps. It's automatically updating for you, but that is why there is a slight load time. So obviously, if you're going to a listing presentation and utilizing MoxiPresent, this is web-based. So you'll want to make sure that your internet connection or your hotspot from your phone is in a good spot so that you can launch through the presentation. Obviously, if you're sending it to them ahead of time or after, you don't have to worry about that because they'll just be viewing it at their own time. I do highly recommend that you either download a digital PDF or print out certain slides beforehand, just in case technology doesn't always work for us, right? So we do want to make sure we have a backup because this is web-based data, because it is pulling it up to date every single time. So to view this presentation, when we were right here on our Pages tab, we clicked View over to the kind of rightish, and then I clicked Web because I want to show you the web version of it. Obviously, if you want to see it in a print portrait format, you would click there. But I clicked Web, and then it launched this here. My presentation is ready. I can start scrolling to start. And for our C21 friends on the call, that was an error. They were fixing that error. So the CB logo should obviously not be there. So we are updating that to the C21, and it should be there. It may already be fixed. I'm not quite sure. So this is the cover photo. I left that photo alone, and I'm sure everybody in Florida is laughing at us because of the snow. I guarantee you it's not like that today, but a couple months ago it was. And then it's always going to have the date it was created, the address that pulled over or entered. I pulled over one from the MLS, but you can enter it. And then it's always going to be branded to you. And again, this is that photo that you remember came over from our account. So that's why I showed you the account first, to make sure that stays up to date. If you keep scrolling, your branding is always going to stay in the top left. Your brokerage's logo is always going to stay in the upper right. And it takes you through the page count. This page title here correlates to what it's called over here. So that is a consumer facing name here. They're going to see it right at the top of the page. And again, this is the particular order I had it in. And in this test I'm running, absolutely you can reorder this however you want. Take out those slides, add those slides, and whatnot. So this goes through our listing location map, listing overview. It's always color coded. Red is always sold. Yellow is always pending. Active is always green. So that correlates throughout all of these side-by-side comparisons. Anything that's talking about the comps will have that coloring. Pulls over all this data from the MLS. And as you can see, you just keep scrolling through the presentation. You can always scroll back up. You see 6 went to 5. Or if you scroll down, you'll go to the next comparable. So this may be a data dump for you guys. You may be like, that's just way too much. I don't need to see it cut and sliced that many different ways. You come back over here, and then you can delete, say I don't want my status comparison sheet anymore, so just remove it. The next time you go into view, once that updates, go into view and then to web. And again, it's going to pull in that fresh data from the MLS. That slide will now be gone. So as we go here, where that 15 used to be, it's now 14 because I removed that slide. So again, whoops, scroll issue there. You just keep scrolling through this. So if you're sitting live with the client at the seller's kitchen table, you can scroll this. You can take your time on each slide. You can talk through it, however you want to operate for your the way that you normally will have your appointment. So again, the really great graphics, really fresh, clean cut. Again, all created by the marketing group or from the brand. And it really will tell that full, robust story for you as you're sitting down with your seller. This is where that agent remarks, if you remember, we changed that to a range. This is where the agent remarks will show up. The net proceeds sheet is blank because I didn't fill it out. So if you get to this point and you're reviewing it, you're like, oh, yep, didn't use that. Come over here, click remove, and it's going to go away. I would have to refresh this window or relaunch it from it to go away. So if you are making changes, do know that by the time you send it to your seller, it will be updated. But for you to view it, if you're still in the testing mode, you will just refresh or re-click that view from right here, and it'll be the updated version. So you can see we went from 15 to 14 and now down to 13. This is also where that information comes over from your account. So we had that discussion at the beginning about your bio, all your contact information. This on the agent profile is where that's going to come over. So it is going to insert it here. Again, if you don't like that slide, if you don't want them to have that information, just click the X and it'll go away. So a lot of opportunity to customize these. So let's talk about further customization. Our last step here. Let me just close some of these windows because I have a bunch open. So we are going to talk about customization. So we are on our Pages tab, And again, this same availability is in any of the presentations, whether you're in CMA, whether you're in buyer tour, buyer presentation, or that non-listing opportunity, you have that opportunity to customize on each and every one of those. So if you do want to add a custom page, from here you click add page. This is how we got to that library that had both our blue books and our black books and all of those slides / PDF opportunities from the brand, and you can click create new. From here you have further options. So perhaps you engaged the marketing group for a flyer, maybe you had an open house or whatever it might have been, an event, and you have a PDF. You can insert a PDF right up in here. So you're not having to customize it with video if you don't want to, and you really love that one-page PDF. You can do that by clicking upload PDF pages. You can do 50 at a time, or you can do them one at a time. Just depending on what you're inserting will make that change for you. If you want others to be able to edit that, you can choose to let them, but if you just leave it unchecked, nobody else will see that but you. You can save it into your library. You'll have it available for you for future presentations, but nobody else will have it available. I'm just going to click cancel because I'm not going to load one up, just given the time frame that we have, but you would just click upload and then it'll show up again, just like those brokerage pages did, right at the top. Cover page will always stay number 1, so it'll insert itself between property and cover page. Others in the company, so if you click on add page, create new, upload PDF, if you enable this, it allows the users to edit their own copied version of the page. The others that it's referring to is others in the company. So that was a great question, George. The original will never be editable by other users, but they can copy their own version of it and edit it. So if you're using it just for yourself, just leave it unchecked and they won't be able to do that. The consumer will not ever be able to edit any of the presentation. So great question. So now if we want to go into customizing pages, we go back to add page, create new, and choose the build page. From here we have a few options, so it is highly customizable. Like I said, you can choose to have just one portion, you can choose to have a header and 2 columns, you can choose 4, what looks kind of like more of a postcard layout, this option, or this that looks a lot like a newsletter option. Doesn't matter a whole lot which option you choose because you have further options to customize once you pull it in. This is just meant for ease of use to try to help you. So I'm going to choose this last one here, and then once you do that, you click create. Just like in other portions of Present, you always have the opportunity to see what it looks like on the web or what it might look like in the print portrait. So from here you can do things like add text, you can add an image, you can embed a video, or if you click more, you have the opportunity to put in HTML if you want to get super fancy with it, or you can choose to do your text bold, italicize, change your font, change your size. Every option that you would have will show up there when you click more. I want to close that because I decided, oh, I don't want more. I just want to put in an image. So you just click clear here. Now, if you get into here and you realize that template is not the template that you want, and you're like, oh, I just want to start out with 3 photos. I don't really want this header. Anytime you see this trash can, that will delete that particular box only. You can see that each of these are different widgets, if you want to say that. So you have the opportunity to delete that. So if we click delete, it's going to make sure, right? So we all accidentally click sometimes. So yes, I want to delete. Now you can see the top of mine is just these boxes. That header went away. If I want to say, oh, I want that back, at any point where you want to insert, you click the plus and it lets you add a module. You can choose your sizing based on how you want it to look. You can change, if you want that header back, you take the 2 down to a 1 and you can see that header is back just like it was. If you want to put in another row that has 3 more, you put it up to 3. You can add multiples of these up to 4. So you can have from 1 to 4. And then once you click OK, that comes right back like what it looked like before we deleted it. Once you've done doing the updating on this page, you'll always want to make sure you click save because you don't want to lose your work. If you click on these three little dots, you can change the layout completely without having to go through the deletes here and the plus here. So if you click change layout, it's going to make sure you're sure because it will change what you've already done. So you can either say never mind or continue. And it's going to bring you right back to this screen here. If you want to click create from here, it's changed that completely. So if you get in here and you're just like, wow, I really wish I'd chosen another template, just go click on those three little lines and then you have that opportunity. If you click on layout options, based on small, medium, large, or full, you can show header on the PDF and show footer. So these are the options you're going to want to look at if you're going to want to print it. The first option for the medium, small, medium, large, full, that's for your web options. So web options at the top, PDF options at the bottom. Always click save if you make changes. It's going to default to your web view. You can change it to your print portrait view if you do want to. I haven't put anything in yet, so I'm not going to do that yet. So we're back on the web and we're going to pull in an image. So you click image. If you've loaded some before, they're going to stay in your library. So you'll have the opportunity to go back and use them again if you choose to. Or if you have a new one that you want to upload, you just click upload. So maybe the marketing group created a graphic for a header for you. You can click upload. You have the opportunity to upload from a web as well. So maybe you have an image URL that you have saved maybe in your Google Drive. You can do it that way as well. The easiest, fastest way is to have it saved to your system and you click upload. I can't say I have a header saved, but let's see if I can find one. Here we go. That's a good one. So this is a header shaped image. So we're going to click open. It's going to load into your library. So once it looks the way you want it to look, you'll click add. Oops, sorry, I zoomed in on my browser. And it's going to insert it into that spot. Now from here you have a few options. You can always change it out if you want. You can link it through to a website. Maybe you want to link it through to your website. You just type that URL in there. Or if you go to the live URL up here, you can copy that whole string and paste it right into here. If you want to make it fit differently, you can fill, you can fit, you can change how it's aligned in that box by using these right here. So once I click off of that, this particular image is now inserted into there. So that could be your header. And again, you have those options to make it look differently, and you can link through to an option if you want to as well. If you do want to embed a video, you can do that from the video button. And then you get your YouTube, Vimeo, or Dailymotion, which I've never used Dailymotion, so I'm not exactly sure what that option is. But obviously Vimeo and YouTube is the pretty standard. Your URL can go in there. So to do that, you would go to your YouTube channel where you have it saved. Find the video that you want. I'm just going to pull in an example. You can click share from down here, or you can copy the URL up here. So if you click share from here, that's the URL. You can click copy, go back to your Moxie Add Video screen. You can either right click paste. If you're on a Mac, you can Command V. If you're on a PC, you can Control V. That'll paste it in there. I myself find it easier just to right click and click paste. It's going to tell you right here if it's invalid or valid. If it's invalid, your green add button there in the lower right won't turn green. You won't be able to add it. But this one's good to go. I'm going to click add, and that video is now embedded right into this particular portion of this customized slide that I'm creating. Further, you can add text. If you click on text, you can simply start typing in this screen. Or if you go over to, say, the Coldwell Banker blog, if you're pulling down content from our Blue Matter blog and say that you want to upgrade your home to sell, maybe that's a story you want to tell this particular seller, you can copy this. Oops, too far. Right there. You can copy the text, go back to your MoxiPresent, and again, same process. If you right click, you can click paste. It's going to pull up this other option, and then you paste that into there, click OK, and it embeds that. Now again, just like in high school when we were borrowing other people's work, you do want to make sure you notate where that information came from. That's no different than any other time that we use other people's content, but you do have the opportunity to put in that custom text there as well. So at this point, I'm building this out. If I want to add more, I can do again by clicking add, and then I can add as many or as few as I want. Maybe I want to put a footer on it, so I'm going to add another one of those. Maybe I want it to be an image, so I'm going to click upload. I'm going to find a different image. Once it's loaded in, you click add, and it's going to put it in there. And again, you have the options at the top there. So as I'm building this out, if I'm like, I really like that, but it has a video, so it really isn't going to play well in print, right? We can't play videos in PDF yet. Probably never will be able to. But we have the opportunity here to click save. It's going to let you save your name. I'm just going to do test slide. You can do a description if you want. And this will help you at a later date if you're pulling it in from your library, know what that is. It's giving you the opportunity to share it again if you want to, but again, by no means do you have to. And from here you click save. It tells me at the bottom I'm good to go, I'm saved. And then we, sorry, got lost there for a second. And then we want to close it out. So we have our test slide and we saved it. So we have that opportunity to, again, web view. We did not do a print view because keep in mind it has a video. So we wanted to make sure that we did not, add that in there. So you can see we were at 13. We are now on 14 here. But I did lie to you earlier. It does not populate at the top. It did populate at the bottom. But keep in mind, anytime you're trying to find out where a slide is, just know that you can drop and drag these anywhere you want. So when we first pulled in those slides, they did show up at the top. This particular one showed up at the bottom. So now if we have further opportunity to edit it, if we want to here, if we go to more, we can duplicate it. So say you did that slide and you think it's great, but you want to do a different one with different text and a different video. You can duplicate it and then go back in and customize it further. If we want to view, again, we click up here where it says view, web. And that particular slide is part of the entire presentation that we've been talking about this whole training, but you do have the opportunity to customize those as just newsletters if you choose to, one-pagers if you choose to. You have a lot of opportunity to create a lot of marketing pieces, all from that customization. I'm just scrolling here as it's trying to load, and I'm trying to make it go faster than it wants to. And we're going to get to that slide. So here's our test slide. So whatever you name it does show up on the consumer side. It has the header here, has that content that I pasted from the Blue Matter blog, it has the video, and then it has that footer I put in. So you can see that you have a lot of customization. Now from here you can send directly from inside the presentation by clicking send. You fill out the two. You can give it a subject, a greeting. I think I have to put an email address in here to get anything else to load. Oops, and I clicked off by accident. Just go back to send. Go back to your email. You can put in your subject. If you want to have a greeting, and then the message of your body, the body of the email message you're sending. You can always copy yourself. Maybe you want to keep this in a folder so that if you're out on the road, you don't necessarily want to log into Present to see it, so you can have it in your email address as well. Or if you don't want to copy, you just uncheck that, and then once you click send, it's going to tell you right at the bottom there that it was successful. Presentation emailed. George's question is, do we need to to notate if the content is coming from CB or CB Schmidt material. We do need to notate if it's coming from the blog. If it's content that you're pulling in from the templates from CB Schmidt, you don't need to attribute that to anybody. So great question. From here, we have further options. If we go into settings, you can always rename it if you choose to right from here. The office will only if you're a member of more than one office, which isn't typical in our company, but you do have the opportunity if you are a member of more than one company office to change that there. And then if you click on more, you can create a quick flyer from any one of these slides, just like you can from these three dots. It gives you an opportunity to get there from here. If you're an ASC or other staff on the call and you're creating this template, if you're creating a presentation, you can then assign it to an agent. This can work really well too if you have an agent with an assistant and the assistant's creating this. They can then assign it over to that agent, so all of that great branding, the headshot, the name, all of that will then be the agent. If you're co-listing, if you're going up as a co-lister, you can add a co-presenter. So say you're going out on this listing opportunity and you're taking somebody else in the office with you, anybody in the company, if you click search, oh, I'm sorry, he's in there as a team. That was a bad example. Let me do it this way. It's going to pull up anybody in your office. You click add, and now they're going to be a co-presenter. So when they go to their dashboard in present, they're going to see that same exact presentation that you've seen. So to wrap up, we're going to head back to that dashboard by clicking home in the upper left corner. We're now back in our dashboard. So if you add that co-presenter, they're going to see that in their dashboard as well. If you click on the little clock right there, it's going to tell you who it's updated by. So if you have a co-presenter, they have the opportunity to edit that as well. If you go back to your dashboard to take a look, you can hover over the clock and it's going to tell you the last time it was updated, when it was created, and who did the updating. So if your co-presenter is updating it, you'll know from this little clock right here. If you want to go back in to edit any of your presentations at any time, you click on the pencil and it launches you right back into where you can edit it. Michelle, you can assign, yes, that is possible as an ASC. You can do the presentation and then assign to your agents. So great question. These three little dots, again, you can always view both versions if you want to. You can share it right from here. Email, you can always get back to those settings. Maybe you want to duplicate it. Maybe you just loved that presentation, but you want to do a different property. You can duplicate it from here. And again, those same options that were in the three little dots where it said more on that presentation slide are in these three little dots as well. So you'll see a lot of duplication of a lot of these tasks just so that it's easier for you guys to find them. So that's all I had for you guys today. I really appreciate your time. Keep in mind that we're on a monthly rotation now with both the 101 and the 201 sessions, so you're always able to call back in at any given time. Just check out your local education calendars. The links will be there for you. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great, oh, we had one more question. The flyers, depending on which slide you're making in a flyer, could be used, say, at an open house. It could be used as part of a mailer. If you're mailing in a certain neighborhood, it could be something like that. You could have them, maybe you're doing a special event like a home show or something like that. You can use any of that content for flyers in that particular case. So a couple different ways you could use it. Good question. All right, well, that's the only question I saw. So again, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Sheila. Yeah, great question. I'm going to reshare my screen so I can show you. So if you head to, let me find my right link here. If you head back to schmidtresources.com and go to that Moxie Square, these there's recorded trainings right here for Engage. We have a couple for Engage. We have the Agent Webinar Series. We have Present. And then again, websites Engage Present. So these are right here. Or if you go to Schmidt Video Classroom and you go to Playlists, we do have a Moxie long form playlist, which will include the links that are linked through on your Moxie page. Or we record every single Moxie Monday, which are shorter, like quicker tips and tricks. And those are on here as well under Moxie Monday. So lots of recorded training. So either go to Schmidt Resources to the Moxie Square or Schmidt Video Classroom to the playlist.